Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're digging into Coventry City's massive reality check. It's a story wrapped in ambition, a ton of history, and a really harsh welcome back to top-flight football. We're going to break down everything you need to know about their highly anticipated return to the Premier League.
You know, the big question we've got to ask right out of the gate is this. What actually happens when a 25-year dream slams face first into an absolute Premier League juggernaut? Let's explore exactly what unfolds when a newly promoted underdog steps onto the pitch to face the defending champions on opening day. All right, welcome to the Premier League. Let's jump straight in. We're picking things up right at the final whistle at the Emirates Stadium, where Coventry City suffered a brutal, but let's be honest, pretty much entirely expected, 3-0 defeat at the hands of Arsenal. Just think about the number 46 for a second. That number perfectly captures the absolute Goliath that Coventry was up against. With this victory, Arsenal has now gone 46 home matches unbeaten against newly promoted sides. And within that crazy run, they've won the last 17 by a combined score of 47-9. Going to the Emirates is, without a doubt, one of the hardest fixtures in world football right now. And the defending champs? Yeah, they showed absolutely no mercy. Kai Havertz opened the scoring just 15 minutes in. By the 23rd minute, Bukayo Saka tapped in a second, and literally 4 minutes after halftime, Captain Martin Odegaard sealed the win. The game was totally put to bed before Coventry could even catch their breath. But look, we have to talk about their 25 years in the wilderness. To really wrap your head around why this 3-0 loss doesn't feel like an outright disaster to those traveling fans, we need to rewind. We have to look back at the incredibly painful quarter-century it took just to get back onto this pitch. At the Emirates, you had the away fans proudly holding up this simple but powerful banner reading, "We are back." And it's just this beautiful full-circle moment. When Coventry got relegated way back in 2001, a fan wrote, "We'll be back," in sky blue ink on a random scrap of wallpaper. That little piece of wallpaper became local legend. And now, that promise has finally been kept. Because if you trace the timeline of their exile, it's honestly harrowing. Relegated in 2001. By 2013, they were literally homeless, playing 35 miles away in Northampton. In 2017, they plummeted all the way down to League Two, the fourth tier. They were homeless again between 2019 and 2021, playing at St. Andrews. Yet somehow, they survived it all, rebuilt the whole shebang, and Frank Lampard guided them to the championship title in April 2026. So, stepping onto the pitch for this match, the gap in resources was just staggering. Get this, only 7 players in Frank Lampard's entire squad had any previous Premier League experience. Coventry fielded a super inexperienced starting 11, including 5 brand new signings making their debuts. Meanwhile, with 15 minutes left and cruising at 3-0, Arsenal casually brings on 2 actual World Cup winners, Mikel Merino and Martin Zubimendi, just as substitutes. I mean, wow. Okay, moving on to exactly how Arsenal dominated. We all know the final score, right? But let's look at the underlying data to see exactly how this mismatch played out. The data really paints a picture of a team barely getting out of second gear. Arsenal basically dictated the entire tempo of the match without breaking a sweat, holding a commanding 65% possession compared to Coventry's 35%. Coventry spent the vast majority of this match just chasing shadows, while Arsenal smoothly moved the ball around. When you drill down into the attacking output, it's just total domination. Arsenal racked up 20 total shots, 15 off target, and 5 on, compared to Coventry's mere 4 attempts. They completely owned the set pieces too, winning 8 corners to Coventry's 2. It was just a comprehensive, clinical offensive display by the champions. Now, this next part, 2 managers, 2 reactions, might actually be my favorite takeaway from the whole match. The psychological contrast between the 2 guys on the touchline is fascinating. Picture this. On one side, you have Mikel Arteta. His team just comfortably won 3-0, yet post-match he was genuinely fuming about his team's shape. He was complaining about their timing and compactness after the 3rd goal. On the other side, Frank Lampard delivered this really grounded reality check. He knows full well that Coventry's survival does not rest on beating the defending champions away from home. And just to hammer home the absolute gulf between these 2 clubs right now, this match marked Mikel Arteta's 150th Premier League victory. He hit that milestone in just 249 games. That makes him one of only 5 managers in history to do it in under 250 matches, joining a wildly elite club with Pep Guardiola, Jose Mourinho, Jurgen Klopp, and Alex Ferguson. But hey, let's talk about the silver lining here. Because despite all those heavy stats weighing against them, the reaction from the Coventry fans tells a completely different story. If you look at the immediate post-match discussions on the Coventry City subreddit, the mood is surprisingly upbeat. The supporters totally kept their sense of humor. You had one fan joking, "Same scoreline as Man City, we're getting Champions League," which of course is a nod to Arsenal comprehensively beating Manchester City in the Community Shield the week prior. For the fans, just keeping it to 3-0 against this Arsenal machine genuinely felt like a minor victory. On a more pragmatic level, fans were actively hunting for the positives. They were praising individual performances, specifically giving shout-outs to players like Ellis Sims and Jay Da Silva for really stepping up to the challenge. The fans clearly see this match for exactly what it is, a vital, albeit super harsh, learning curve for a squad that's still trying to find its feet. Ultimately, the consensus across the board, from the manager to the pundits to the fans, is that this opening match was essentially a free hit. The true barometer of Coventry's survival hopes won't be an away day at the Emirates. No way. It's going to be next week's highly emotional homecoming against Hull City. That right there is where they need to prove they belong. Which leaves us with this one final lingering question. Is this 3-0 baptism of fire going to overwhelm Frank Lampard's newly promoted squad? Or is it the exact crucible they need to forge a battle-tested team ready to fight for their Premier League lives? The real test begins right now.